Good evening. Happy Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. Good morning to those that are on the far east of the earth. Good evening to those of us that are on the west, far west of the earth. And good afternoon to all those in between. Greetings to the 12 tribes of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who are soon to be delivered from Babylon, which is the whole entire world system that we all live in. The children that are the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, greetings. Greetings also to those that are the grafted in strangers from the Gentiles that also trust in the Most High Yah and his word alone. Greetings. Blessings upon those that work in healthcare field that are seeking to save life, even at the expense of their own. Blessings also to those that pick up garbage to try to keep this dirty earth clean. Blessings to those that make deliveries for our convenience that we take for granted. Double blessings on those seeking to deliver boys, girls, babies, teenagers, men and women from sex trade and human trafficking operations that are going on in every major country on the planet Earth. Greetings and blessings to them, and curses upon those perverts who don't admit they're perverts and support this disgusting industry. Finally, blessings on the homeless and those trying to help the homeless. 500,000 human beings, men, women, children, families, veterans in the United States of America, supposedly the richest country on earth. 500,000 people sleeping on the street tonight, not including the millions upon millions in other nations like the Philippines that don't even have that. Boxes, tents, sidewalks, park benches, cars. Blessings upon those helping and those people that are in those situations, for theirs is the soon coming kingdom. Greetings to those in the chat, righteous in the way, the Prince Bun, Junior. Greetings to all of y'all. Some interesting things. See, brethren, as far as what I should be teaching y'all's people, it is not hard for the Most High to give me material. For every single day, there are things happening that fulfill the book of Revelation and bring us closer to the end of this system. All the time. And what I want to say to you, what we're going to look at in the word is that anything that has any taint, listen carefully, brethren, please listen carefully. And listen, I always, we get people that comment and some of them are angry. And, I laugh. I really laugh because I don't care. Because as long as my conscience is clear to speak the truth, I'm going to do that. Because that's what I've been ordained to do. You don't have to like it. But one thing I do ask, if you're going to ask me not to think of you as some crazy nut that I should ignore, at least have some biblical reasons, 2 or 3 witnesses to deny what I'm saying. Listen carefully. Anything on this planet that is unrighteous in the eyes of Yah is going to be destroyed. Let me say that again. Anything on this planet Earth that Yah deems, not me, not any person, but that the Creator deems as unrighteous, is going to be destroyed. And the Creator has already deemed the entire planet guilty, which tells you it's all going to be destroyed. That's why in Revelation chapter 21, and I'm about to play for you an audio of Dr. Martin Luther King. I got a reason for playing. Okay, we're going to talk about it. But before I do, let me read Revelation chapter 21, beginning at verse 1. Revelation 21, beginning at verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth was passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yah out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Yah is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yah himself shall be with them and be their most high. And Yah shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his most high, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, all liars, all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth in fire and brimstone, which is the second death. All liars. Let me look at the prophetic utterance of the Hebrew prophet Isaiah. That is also saying the same thing. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Let me say that again, because I get people always asking me questions about something somebody told them or something they read in some other book aside from the Bible, and don't have 2 or 3 witnesses to back up whatever they want to argue about. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. And there's got to be 2 or 3 witnesses from this here. I don't want to hear about no book of Enoch, no Apocrypha, no book of Jasher, so-called. I don't want to hear that. Give me 2 or 3 witnesses from Genesis to Revelation. And if you haven't read this, please read it. Please read it. Read it once before you start talking. Isaiah chapter 65, saying the same thing in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Isaiah chapter 65. Verse 17, for behold, I create new heavens and a new earth. For the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be heard, no more heard in her, nor voice of crying. See, we just read that in Revelation. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that had not filled his days, for the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. Let me explain what that means for y'all that don't understand, and it's okay. The child died 100 means a person will cease to be a child at 100 years old. In other words, you could be 90 years old in the kingdom and you're only going to be considered a child. But in this earth, they say the sinner being 100 years old is a curse because you get old, decrepit, deteriorated, right? Verse 21, and they shall build houses and inhabit them, plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble. for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahweh, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith Yahweh. See, that's what we got coming. Brethren, when the Bible talks about lies and liars, I want you to understand there's several forms of lie. When somebody exaggerates, that's a lie. When there's hypocrisy, that's a lie. I want to make sure you heard that. There's several forms of lies. An exaggeration is a lie. And hypocrisy is lying. Okay? So I want to show you a form of hypocrisy that shows you exactly what's getting ready to be destroyed. Listen carefully.
Time that America refused to give the Negro any land. Through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farm. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, we're coming to get our check.
Did you hear what he said? He said the government gave white farmers millions of dollars of government money and gave them millions of acres of land and gave them schools and training to learn how to farm the land, and then gave them subsidies to this day to support them when the prices of their products don't feed them. And they got the nerve to say to the black man he needs to lift up himself by his bootstraps, or that he's lazy, or that he needs to earn something. This, brethren, is hypocrisy. And the nation that is founded in hypocrisy is a lying nation. And any such nation, as we just read, all liars shall be outside the city and outside the kingdom. Something else happened very interesting I want to share with y'all. There is a man in Oklahoma. Now, wait, let me back up for a minute. Y'all remember Trayvon Martin, right? Tell me, y'all remember Trayvon Martin? You know who Trayvon Martin is, right? That was the 17-year-old boy walking through a neighborhood at night with a hoodie on. And there was a man named Zimmerman who followed him, came out of his house and followed the boy. The boy had candy on him. The man Zimmerman had a gun on him. And there's a law. This happened in Florida. It's called stand your ground. What does that mean, stand your ground? That means in Florida, if you have a licensed firearm and you are being threatened, you can use the firearm to shoot the person threatening you because you're standing your ground. So George Zimmerman followed the boy. And the boy and him got in a scuffle. And he murdered the 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. And they took George Zimmerman to court, and he was acquitted because they said even though he left his house, even though he followed the boy, he was what? Standing his ground. That's what they said. That's why the verdict came back not guilty. Of course, there were no black jurors on the jury. It was an all white jury. Just this year. Well, no, I'm sorry. It was September of last year. I found out about it today, but it was September of last year in Oklahoma. Oklahoma adopted the stand your ground law right after Florida did when that happened. So here's a brother in his own yard. His daughter's or his stepdaughter's boyfriend, and this is from eyewitness accounts, 4, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. This is 4 eyewitness accounts. The daughter's boyfriend had a gun and was waving it, and there was a baby there. A baby was there while he was waving this gun around. Then he came back a couple of days later and threatened to bring out the gun, and from eyewitness accounts, had the gun in the trunk of his car. He was talking about, as we know, popping the trunk. So homie, whose house it was, pulled out his gat, and before homie could come back and pull his gun out again, he stood his ground and popped him, killed him. He killed him in his own yard while he was defending himself against an armed man in his own yard. They got that brother on trial for murder in a stand your ground state. Let me just be plain and honest and open with y'all. This stand your ground law was not for black people. It was for Caucasian people to be able to kill black people. Did you hear what I said? That's what it's for. That's why George Zimmerman is free and this brother's in jail for murder. And they got 4 witnesses that said they were all threatened by the man that was killed because he was carrying a gun. Including, again, a baby was in the vicinity. And again, I want to say, the stand your ground law is not for the black man. It's for the Caucasian man to be able to kill the black man. I'm just trying to tell you what it is. Let me be real on a further note. The former president, Donald Trump, has been telling his supporters that not only was the election stolen from him, but that he's going to be, listen, he's going to be reinstated into office this August. And they need to support him because he's going to be reinstated this August. This is a lie. I don't support Joe Biden, just to let y'all know. I think Joe Biden is a devil, just like Donald Trump is a devil. But I'm just telling you why this whole thing is about to be destroyed. This man is a liar. He's standing up in line. He's not going to be reinstated in August. But 70 million Americans support him. And it's not about the election being stolen. Let's be real now. I'm trying to be real with y'all. This is all about the survival of white supremacy. That's what this is about. Let me explain it to y'all who didn't hear it the other day when I broke it down then. The whole term of race was created by the Caucasian people of Europe in Germany. German scientists created the concept of race. It is nowhere in this book. It is nowhere in there. But you got Caucasian Christians that will pay our master Yahushua as Caucasian, idolatry, and will claim a religion of Christianity that doesn't exist here, except in the Roman Catholic Church, which is a whore. Caucasian scientists from Germany created the concept of race. Why did they do that? Well, let's go by their conclusions, and you can look this up yourself. They wanted to show the superiority of the Caucasian people, the Europeans, as opposed to any other race. So they divided human beings up into Negroid and Asiatic, and I forgot the other one. And they measured the skulls of each group. And they came to the conclusion that because of the Caucasian shape of his skull, he was more intelligent. So the whole concept of race came from the Caucasian, and the concept of what's called white came from the Caucasian to make himself superior. Let me take it further. When they came to the North, what we call North America, which is also a colonized name, Amerigo Vespucci from Italy brought that name here, America. It's a colonized name, just like Africa is a colonized name. Africa is not the original name of that continent. That was named by a Caucasian man. The whole thing is colonized. That was telling you, look, before I continue with this story, let me show you something. Daniel chapter 7. Again, Daniel chapter 7. When you know the truth, it does set you free on the real. Daniel chapter 7. Notice what it says about the little horn, which is the Caucasian religion of Christianity. That's the Caucasian religion. That's the European religion. You didn't get Christianity from Messiah. You got it from the Europeans. So look at what it says here, because it's prophesied for those of us that actually read the Bible. It's prophesied. Notice what it says. In Daniel chapter 7, I'm going to start about the little horn and the fourth beast, which is Rome, which when you study this prophecy, go ahead, look it up. The website got it. Both the Daniel series and the Revelation 2021 series. It's in there. I'm going to start at verse, let's see, 16. Daniel 7:16. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. I defy anybody to tell me I'm wrong and show me from the scriptures that there's a Christianity in the Bible. Show me from the scriptures that there's anything other than Israel and those Gentiles that come into Israel that's going to be blessed. Show me, because you ain't going to be able to. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of his with his feet, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth, watch this now, the verse 23. The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Shall do what? Devour the whole earth. That means Africa was named by them. North America was named by them. Puerto Rico was named by them. Haiti was named by them. Dominican Republic was named by them. Jamaica was named by them. Mexico was named by them. Colombia was named by them. South America by them. Egypt was not Egypt. Egypt is Kemet, and Mizraim was named by them. Shall subdue the whole earth. So in Amerigo Vespucci, when the Europeans came over here, killed the Indians and took this land, when they came over here and did that, right? The Caucasians that were rich needed labor to develop this land. They wasn't going to get their hands dirty. Not the rich Caucasians from UK and from Europe and from them places. They wasn't going to get their hands dirty. So they needed labor. So they had poor Caucasian peasants. And then they had poor, of course, African, so-called African peasants. And guess what? The African poor and the Caucasian poor looked at each other and said, both of us getting screwed here. We need to do something about this. And as they got ready to unite, The rich Caucasians, this is all history. The rich Caucasians came up with the idea of white. And they let the poor Caucasians know, you guys are like us. You're white. Them brown people are not like us. You should be ruled. We all should be ruling over them. This, along with the whole concept of race, was the beginning of white supremacy. So they did this and they divided the poor up between colors, had us against each other. And it's still like that. Right now, you got all of these Caucasians that are poor supporting liars because they think because of the color of their skin, they're superior than other poor people. And they're getting screwed, just like they've been doing for centuries. And right now, there's brown people and Asian people coming into the United States. And the combination of black and brown and Asian is beginning to outnumber the Europeans. Not only because of immigration, which is why they fight that, but because the truth be told, the Europeans ain't having enough babies to sustain themselves. The Most High is against them. They're not having enough babies to sustain their population. And so the rich ones are egging the poor ones on to say your problem is them Asians. Your problem is them brown people. Your problem is them black people. Not us. We're trying to help you. And that's why they marching on Washington, destroying things up in January 6th. That's why they running around here with guns and Confederate flags. They done lost the war. The war's lost, right? But they ain't got that memo. They still running around with Confederate flags. And the whole thing is going to be destroyed. And what's happening now is the United States of America is filling its cup of woe until it gets to the point where the Father says, enough. You see, brethren, notice what Messiah said in Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. He was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, but it was a microcosm for what was going to happen on a worldwide basis in the future. And he actually alluded to it when you compare it to Luke, where he says that the Gentiles are going to destroy Jerusalem until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. But here in Matthew 24, I'm going to read from verse 21 and 22. Watch what it says. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Except those days should be shortened, they should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. What does that mean? Brethren, let me just be very plain and open and honest as always with you. If left to itself, the rich Caucasians of this earth and the poor Caucasians would destroy each other and destroy everything else on the planet if left to themselves. Because that's the end result of greed and thirst for power. It's self-destructive. It's like giving a high-powered rifle to a child or putting a child behind the wheel of a very expensive vehicle. You know what's going to happen. Power is like that in the hands of mankind. Power, but Bible tells us in Psalm 62, belongs to Yah. He's the only one that could rightly handle power. He's the only one. Even the man after his own heart, David, got drunk on the power, which is why when he was looking from his rooftop, he saw this fine sister taking a shower. And he told his fellas that was guarding him, his guards, whose sister, who's this? Who's that? Oh, that's Uriah the Hittite's wife. Tell her to come up to my castle. That's the lust for power. And this is David, an Israelite. And that's why the sword never departed out of David's house. One son ended up raping his sister. The other son killed the son that raped the sister. Then the other son ended up killing that son. Then David's army ended up killing that son. They talking about Absalom and Ammon and the sister. The sword never departed out of his house because of that. And that was just David, an Israelite, a blessed of the chosen. What's going to happen to the heathen? Who not only have oppressed the chosen, but are hypocritical about it, lying about it. So they're filling their cup. They're filling their cup on a daily. And soon it's going to be over. We already have seen, the word has shown us that the awakening of the Hebrews in captivity is the death knell for Babylon. It's not between us and them. That's why we invite Gentiles to come into this truth, to acknowledge what your fathers have done, and to come into the truth. We invite Gentiles to do that. I have baptized Gentiles. My father was just asking me that the other day. You baptize them? Yes. Anyone that's repentant and wants to turn from lies to the truth belongs to the Most High, because the Asatan is the liar. Y'all need to understand that. And this earth is filled with liars. If left to themselves, it would implode on itself. If left to itself, it would implode on itself. Even their own scientists are saying to them some bad things. They're saying the way this earth is going, the environment can't handle it. It's saying the way the Caucasian people are underperforming in terms of birth, they can't survive. Their own scientists are telling them that. That is why we know, brethren, we're not ignorant. They want to reduce the population. Not of their kind. Let me tell you something else. This whole anti-abortion thing from the so-called Christian right, it's not about brown and black babies. It's not even about Asian babies, and they with them. They don't realize it. But it's about white babies. See, when Margaret Sanger created Planned Parenthood to kill brown babies. That was the plan. But you see, they screwed themselves because they wanted this MRA or women's right movement. And the Caucasian woman with her man caused her to start aborting her babies because she wanted to be like her man. She wanted to go up. She wanted to move on up. So she started killing her babies. Then China said, y'all could only have one child. And now China's running short, and America's running short, and Sweden's running short, and Norway's running short, and Germany's running short, and the UK is running short, and Spain is running short, and Italy is running short, and Belgium is running short, and Russia is running short. All of them are below replacement level with their children. They're having more deaths than births. That's not science. Even though science has confirmed what I just said, you can look it up yourself. That's the Most High. He's not allowing them to multiply. So what they're going to do? They're trying to reduce the population of brown people. That's what they're doing. That's why there's wars. You're going to see more diseases. You're going to see more military coups in brown countries. You're going to see more of that. They're trying to reduce the population of brown people to a number they feel they can control. They're not trying to reduce their population. But it's all good. You know why? Brethren, I can't express enough to you. All of things that I'm telling you is in the word. It's all in here. Even the answer to what I just told you. Notice, because history repeats itself. See, brethren, let me explain again. The Bible promises are for one people, the children of Jacob. And those that join with the children of Jacob join in the promises. That is why Galatians say, if you be Messiahs or Christ, then you are Abraham's seed. What does it mean by that? It means you're joining with the Hebrews, not just with you. See, it's not Jesus by himself. It's his nation. He himself said, I came not, but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So when you're joining with him, you're joining with his nation. You can't say you love Jesus and hate black people or lie about what your fathers have done to us. You can't, because white Jesus doesn't exist. And the true Hebrew one, he's not hearing you if you're a hypocrite. He doesn't hear hypocrites. So when Galatians says, if you be Christ, you're Abraham's seed, that's assuming you have joined with the Hebrew Messiah. So you have joined into his nation, which is why the same Paul writes in Romans, y'all are grafted in. Y'all are wild olive tree, grafted into the true olive tree of Israel. Don't ever think that you exist without Israel, because you don't. He said, you're not the natural branches. He said, if he cut off natural branches, you better beware, because he can cut you off. You're not even the natural branch. See, you got to put the whole thing together. See what happens, brethren, in Christianity, and some Hebrews do it too. They take one verse and they dictate off of that verse instead of looking at the whole scripture. You can just compare Paul's writing with himself and you can come up with that. But all the Bible promises are to Israel. And so everything that happens to Israel is a microcosm, a mini example of what's happening in the world. Notice again, Exodus chapter 1. Our fathers ended up in captivity. We didn't come down into Egypt into captivity, but eventually the Egyptians put us into captivity and made us and put us in bondage, put us in slavery. Okay. And I want you to notice how they handled the Hebrews in their land. And this is the Hamitic people. The Yafet has been even worse. So I'm going to show you something from what the Hamitic people did to the Hebrews from Exodus chapter 1. Notice what it says in Exodus chapter 1. Verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And let me stop there. Joseph helped save the nation. If it wasn't for the blessing of Joseph, they would have been destroyed. But they didn't appreciate that. The Hebrews built this country, the United States of America. They built it. But our oppressors don't appreciate that. As we just heard Martin Luther King explain to us. Let's continue. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out the land. You see the concern? Listen carefully to the concern of Pharaoh. They were concerned that the oppressed Hebrews would join with an enemy of Egypt to get themselves free. That would have been the right attitude. So that is why they're trying to convince us we're Americans while not giving us any rights as Americans, not treating us equally with other Americans, having us have to march to be able to use the same toilet as them, having us go to jail for doing the same thing they did when they were set free, telling us we lazy when they got millions of dollars and acres and subsidies. Because the natural reaction would be, if somebody invades America, I'm helping y'all. And that happened. The War of 1812, the British and the Canadians were offering the slaves, freedom to fight against America, and a lot of them came. Then at that point, we became Americans all of a sudden when they needed us, like during Reconstruction, until the place was rebuilt. Then came Jim Crow. You're never going to get an equal share here, ever. This is not the place. You're never going to. The sooner we remember Our deliverance is from Yah and not from man, the better for us. The sooner we remember that. Our fathers had to. Let's continue. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Raamses. But the more, listen to this now, the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. They were grieved. Listen, this is telling you how they feel about us right now. They're grieved because of us. They've done all these things to us. They flooded our neighborhoods with heroin and crack. They redlined our neighborhoods. They sent guns into our neighborhoods for us to destroy each other and be destroyed. And we're still growing. We're still here. We're still surviving. And they're grieved. It's telling you right here. Okay, let's continue. Let's see what they did. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. In mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field, all their service wherein they made them to serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, the Hebrew sisters. What did the king of Egypt say to the sisters? Of which the name of the one was Shipra and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of the midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. Ye shall kill him. If it be a daughter, leave her alone. Let her live. So their purpose in trying to destroy the Hebrews, listen, was to kill the males. To have us kill each other, to have our women turn on us, to have us killed. Are y'all listening? Let's continue. But the midwives feared Yah and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, why have ye done this thing and saved the men, children alive? The Hebrew women at that time wasn't with it. They wasn't trying to help the enemies kill the brothers. Things have changed. Let's continue. And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, not delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore, Yah dealt well with the midwives, like he's going to bless the sisters that support the brothers in this cause, in this struggle. And the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. Watch this now. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared Yah, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people. Pharaoh charged or commanded all his people. What did he command? Saying, every son that is born shall cast into the river. That's where the alligators and crocodiles ate them. They did that here in America too. And every daughter ye shall save alive. So they want the women to continue living, but they want to kill the males. Does that look familiar? Hasn't changed. And as our fathers of old had to learn that Yah will deliver them, so must we learn that our deliverance is in Yah alone. It's not in white Jesus. It's not in Christianity. It's not in any church or denomination. It's not in voodoo. It's not in anything from Africa. Our deliverance is from the God of heaven, the only true one, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Our deliverance is from him and him alone. And he will save us. It's prophesied right here in this book. He's going to save us. But we have to put our trust in him. It took our fathers a minute before they caught on. See, he had to send 3 plagues that hit our fathers. 3 of the 10 plagues hit our fathers. Then they got the wake-up call. The last 7 plagues only hit Egyptians. History is repeating. We're going to get hit and are getting hit with plagues right now. We're dying from these things that they want us to die from. COVID. We're getting destroyed in weather. But when we receive that wake-up call and we come to our God. Not our ancient fathers calling us from no daggone grave. They dead. The dead don't speak. They don't know anything. Nope, this is the spirit of the perfectly righteous one who formed the Hebrew Messiah and had him begotten out of the womb of a Hebrew woman. That one whose spirit is eternal is calling us to himself, calling us to righteousness and truth. And anyone else on the planet that wants righteousness and truth, he calling them with us, with us. We need to remember that. When you start seeing brothers get arrested like that for standing their ground, don't be surprised. Understand, I'm serious. We need to seriously understand the laws are not made for us. They're made for them. If they were made for us, there'd be no problem. They are not now nor ever have been made for us. Look, here's another example. The president, Joe Biden, promised, I'm going to help African Americans. I'm going to help people in student debt. And now I've been reading all these articles. He said, no, I'm changing my mind. They're all liars. They're all hypocrites. They're all liars and hypocrites, which is why they're filling their cup. And according to this here book, it's going to be destroyed. And again, if Yah didn't do it, if he didn't cut it short himself, they would destroy each other. It'd be gone already. It'd be already nothing left. Greed and lust for power would have already destroyed. Don't be like them, brethren. We don't serve a God. The Bible says, envy thou not the oppressor and do none of his ways. Okay, none of his ways. What is that? That's Proverbs. That's Proverbs chapter 4. Let me find that. That's Proverbs chapter 4. Let me give you that scripture so you know where it is. Yeah, we need to know the scriptures for ourselves, brother. We need to know the scriptures for ourselves. Let me see. Let me find that. I'm gonna find it. Okay, let me see. Let me see here. Here it is. It's Proverbs 3:31. Proverbs 3:31. Praise Yah. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. The ways of Yah are not the way of the leaders of these countries. That's not his ways. Don't let the fact that they put brown people in positions on TV make you think that it's something different. It's not. They're lying to you every day. And just remember, if it wasn't for the angels of Yah holding back the four winds on the corners of this earth, they would destroy themselves a long time ago. Don't be with those that are going to destroy themselves. Be with your God, with your Father, Yahweh. He will not lose. Those with him are going to inherit the kingdom we read about. Those that are into truth and righteousness and no hypocrisy. I pray that the Most High bless you and keep you, guide you in paths of truth and righteousness for his name's sake. Trust in Yahweh with all thy heart and lean not unto your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Shalom.